minister, and I think we should take it even we are not going to approve it so that we make our comments first. But to say don't discuss the letter, I don't think that's the correct procedure. So those in favor say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it.
From bad to worse. So why we are wondering now is, and our fear is, if we extend the state of emergency, are we going to get into more bad situation than we are now? And if we are even extending the state of emergency, what difference will it make? As representative of our people, my people are clearly against the extension because it restricts the civilian movement and allows the insurgents to move freely. These are just part of it. So when people are sleeping in the night, the insurgents are freely moving. In fact, by 6 o'clock, the whole town is closed. Civilians cannot move, and insurgents freely move. All we hear is take over, take over, take over. So we are seriously looking at this situation from reality of it. Putting sentiment, putting whatever aside, what is it on ground that will change the situation that has not done that well?
Welcome back as we discuss State of the Nation, the proposed emergency rule extension. Of course, Mr. President already sent a letter to the National Assembly asking them to stamp another 6-month extension. Now, if that goes through this time, it will be the 4th time after about 18 months of emergency rule in those 3 northeastern states, namely Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe. I stay Abadiye Biarumularan right here with us in the studio. Thank you very much for staying the course on the program. Yeah. Does it baffle you at all that issues like these furthermore divide us along ethnic and other, opinions, especially now as we see at the floor of the House of Senate? Some people want an extension, but northern senators seem to believe otherwise.
Yes, if we take a look at what plays out there yesterday at the chamber, we wouldn't say we are divided along the ethnic line of thought. Let us look at it that it is the division that is exemplified in the chamber was as a result of inability to be objective in our assessment of situations and reports. So I would not want us to look at it from the ethnic angle rather than from the our inability to analyze issues objectively. Okay. The senator from the Northeast has given us a clue to what goes on there. He said once it is 6 p.m. on daily basis, restriction of civilians becomes enforced, whereas the insurgents becomes mobilized and they can be able to move about. And we will see, also borrow from the information we have gathered, that it is the Civilian Joint Task Force that have really been assisting the military. So in essence, looking at the situation that the state of emergency imposed, this is the 4th session, the period that they want to go into, and has not actually yielded much results, then we may say let us give it another approach based on the feelers of the people from the region. That look, the state of emergency the Mr. President has been imposing has not actually yielded expected results. If that is the case, let us adopt another approach based on their own recommendation. They are actually the ones in the forefront of this situation, this crisis, and they are giving a recommendation. Let us, for once, try to take a cue from the recommendation and observe that. That is one angle.
Talking about another approach, the Congress for Equality and Change, of course, who also has as a member prominent Nigerians led by elder statesman Edwin Clark, are now asking that it's even better to appoint military administrators and have a more holistic emergency rule in these 3 states. Do you buy that idea?
You see, I wouldn't buy the idea. The appointment of military administrator will further distract the military. Military is not performing up to their maximal expectation, optimal expectation at the moment in those states. So if you now get them involved in the administration, the civilian administration in the states, you have further taken away their attention. So it can be amounted to distraction of the military from their primary assignments. So by appointing them as appointing military administrator to take over the states.
But you talked about another approach.
That is what we're saying.
We have tried the military running side by side with the democratically elected governors. And from your opinion, if I heard you well, probably you are also of the opinion that it didn't really work.
It didn't. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked enough. Not that it hasn't worked at all. If there haven't been military there, probably the insurgents will have taken over the states completely. But what we are saying is that the efforts being put in by the military is not adequate enough to combat the insurgents. So we need to really double the efforts of the military. Their optimal performance needs to be encouraged. So we need to change the tactics. It's not by bringing them into the politics, the politicking in the states, that we actually improve their optimal performance. So we should get it straight that, look, the situation we are facing is not the kind of situation where you can bring in military administrator and think that it can curb the insurgency.
Let's look at the political interest in all of this, because this group also talked about how the opposition party, especially the APC, has handled this particular situation. They were expecting that opposition should have supported at least the ruling party in a case of national security. Do you think that political interest should crop in here now? Because people are already asking questions. If we have a full emergency rule, what happens to elections in these 3 northeastern states come 2015?
Beautiful. If you look at the insurgency situation, it is spreading from the northeast, gradually going to the north central and the northwest, if care is not taken. So are we saying, oh, within the next 2 months, by the time we hear more bomb explosions in Bauchi, Kano, then there will be emergency rule there? That is one fundamental question that we need to answer. Then a situation where you are saying the oppositions in the House, in the National Assemblies are not helping. They have supported the imposition of the first emergency rule. The second one, they supported. The third one, they supported. And you are saying they are not supportive. Well, to me, from my own, the best of understandings, well, I see them cooperating enough.
The last time this emergency rule was extended, you recall that the Senate was talking about the security chiefs coming on a regular basis
periodic reports,
accounts,
which never comes to play. But what we are saying in actual sense is that, okay, the military, they are trying. The military have come to tell us, we hear it, why they are not performing optimal expectation. They are not adequately equipped. Let them be adequately equipped, not by bringing the military into the politicking in the states. Then with that, we encourage their performance. We will further distract them in the performance, their performance, performance of their duties. So I don't actually support the views or the calls that they should impose a military administrator. And the moment the military administrator is imposed, then come 2015 February, will there be election in such states?
Would you agree that this particular challenge of terrorism is more of a global challenge and non-local to Nigeria? Because unfortunately, we've also seen politicians who are taking this up as an opportunity to use security to campaign. But on the other side, the opposition have not been able to come up with a blueprint of idea of an alternative way that they could have solved this problem.
You see the situation where when it comes to insurgency, it takes a special grace of God to be able to totally eradicate it. We have Iraq there today, Afghanistan there today. For years now, more than a decade, the superpowers have been fighting there. They can't stop it. So it does not, nobody can come out with a mechanism or a technique or strategy to eradicate such. We can only optimize the performance of the military while we bring in persuasion, moral persuasion of the residents within the region to let them see reasons why they should not give their support to the, why we should eschew religion fanaticism for a while. So, but trying to say there could be a strategy to totally eradicate it, once it has started, it is always difficult to get rid of it. So, but what we are saying at this point is let the military be well equipped so that they will be committed and they will be more efficient in the battlefronts, while you continue in your politics of the administration of the states. But by the time you bring in military to administer the states, then you are telling us.
Are you in any way baffled at all that these issues still linger even as we count closely to the general elections?
Yes, everyone that is in his or her senses should be worried, should show some concerns. I'm concerned that we can't continue like this. At times, in my own personal opinion, I tend to ask, can there be election with the way we are going? It has extended to Bauchi. We experience it in Kano. If in matter of the next 2 months, it goes on like that in those places, then definitely, will you say there will not be election in 4 or 5 states? And we will say we have elected the president in Nigeria.
Quite interesting.
Exactly. That would be a fundamental question that for anybody reasonable to answer in Nigeria. So the idea of bringing in military administrator to come and administer the states is tending towards the incapability of the civilian to handle the country.
But then, if we've had a military that is unbiased, that is not seen as a proponent of a particular party, do you think this will be an issue? Because probably the fear of the opposition would be that if we have a military administrator, then automatically that military administrator will be a proponent of the leading party.
We see, whichever way you look at it, the moment you put in place a military administrator, the military administrator will interfere with all the democratic institutions. And once the democratic institutions are affected, then there is no subject matter as per democracy in that state.
But some have a history to show. They've said it happened in Ekiti and it looks like it worked. And even some other parts of the country.
How did it? Was it insurgency case in Ekiti? Civil disturbance is different from insurgency. Insurgency is a matter of indoctrination. The psychologizing of people. Are you getting it? What happened in Ekiti was just a matter of civil disturbance. And by the time it precipitated, everybody went their normal duty. So you can't compare what happened in Ekiti to what is going on in all those insurgency states.
Interesting pictures that we saw earlier on the front pages of the newspapers. It's on Vanguard and on Nation. And it shows these people by the name Civilian JTF who are now assisting the Nigerian army in the ongoing fight against Boko Haram. Just yesterday, the former CBN governor, who is now the Kano Emir, talked about people protecting themselves, that they should not just go to pray, that it has gotten to a time now that they might have to find anything whatsoever possible to protect themselves. Would you agree with the idea of arming civilians at this time?
I will not support it. You see, we look at it this way. There cannot be a long-lasting relationship between the civilian GTF and the military.
Okay.
There will be at a point, very nearby point, they will cross one another's paths. Then you see crisis again from that area. So government should do the needful by making sure that the military is well equipped. The civilian JTF should take care of their immediate residential environments. Don't take them to the battlefronts. At the battlefronts, they will have conflicts with the military. So by the time, just give it a matter of time, you will hear hiccups of misunderstandings between the two groups, the civilian JTF and the military. But let them stay within their own. Because we have had it in the past in the West when we had OPC. They started misbehaving at a point. So it is natural. The civilian JTF you're talking about, they are not trained. They are hunters, the local hunters. They are bound, they are committed miscreants. Let's pray.
Well, then,
so at the point they will misbehave.
They're getting results. We heard
no,
about the
they are getting results now, but at the particular point they will misbehave.
It's all right. Let's open the phone lines for our viewers to participate on the show today. The line will come up on your screen any moment from now. We'll expect you to ensure that you turn down the volume of your TV set when you call in, and let's keep the conversation on telephone. So when you call in, mute your television set, and of course ensure that you go ahead as soon as your call has been acknowledged. Now, beyond all of this, of course, we talk about the relationship that exists between the Nigerian army and the civilians. Whether we like it or not, they are bringing in results.
Sure.
We heard about how they were involved in the
how they captured the Chibok back.
The Chibok, Mubi,
yes.
Maha, and quite a number of that. But what should be the role of every concerned Nigerian at this very critical time in our history as a nation?
You see, at this very point in time, nobody will be happy. Even if your place of abode is several thousands of kilometers away from those regions, then you shouldn't be happy, because I'm very sure that nobody will be happy if Nigeria disintegrates. We are happy to say we are Nigerian, whatever situation we're going through, but by the time Nigeria does not exist, the memory of the good past times we have shared will haunt us. So we are all happy, every reasonable person should be happy that Nigeria exists, and at this time, we should all be looking forward.
Okay, just a minute, we have a caller now from Niger. Good morning, Mohammed. How are you today?
Hello.
Good morning, Mohammed.
Hello.
Good morning. Go ahead with the contribution.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mohammed Hayatuddin. I'm switching from Mina.
All right, you're welcome to Call Digest.
All right. My name is Mohammed Hayatuddin, and I'm calling from Mina.
Go ahead, Mohammed. We're with you.
I would like to contribute my quota in this discussion of the extension of the state of emergency.
Okay.
The Sinai is just wanting the federal government, want to give the federal government what it wanted up initially. The federal government actually wanted that there should be no elections in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa State. That is why they are, trying to create an extension of this emergency rule.
Okay. I believe Mohammed made his point there, but would you subscribe to that school of thought that it's an intentional effort on the part of the federal government to truncate electoral processes in this region in 2015?
I may not say it is intentional, because the federal government did not express the desire to truncate the election.
What exactly would the federal government
But at the same time, I pointed it out that if it is extended, then there wouldn't be election there. And if there's no election there, whoever wins the election, the presidential election in 2015, cannot come to claim that he has won the election in Nigeria.
But whether it gets an extension or not, do you foresee the feasibility, the possibility of having an election take place even at this present time in this region?
Yes, I told you, let the government do the needful. Empower the military adequately with the equipment, with everything needed to defend and to bring their performance to optimal level.
Just a
then
minute.
they will be able to assure and guarantee the states.
Let's take this call from Baba. Good morning, Baba.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hello?
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 Yeah, we're with you. Welcome to Call Digest. Go ahead with the contribution.
What you have been discussing. Quite all right, one can say. Yes, I'm on now.
please.
Yes, the contribution is that one can see clearly that it's a deliberate effort from the federal government to do the extension. And if this argument is correct, are you getting this point? If this argument is correct, it means that the federal government has hand in pushing the Boko Haram to do what they are doing now. Are you getting the point?
Yes, I'm even documenting it.
So virtually one can see that it's deliberately federal government is engineering Boko Haram while they are calling for extension, so deliberately to just cancel election within those areas. So really the Senate has to come up and look at this thing seriously, because the federal government deliberate effort. That's the point.
It's all right, bye-bye. Thank you very much for calling from Kaduna. We would want our callers to be very objective and well, I wouldn't say non-biased, but we should be careful with the choice of words we use. I mean, it wouldn't be right in any way to insinuate that the federal government is fooling whatever it is happening in northeast Nigeria. But how do we ensure that Nigerians are united at this time to see one common enemy, which is this terrorist group that is fomenting trouble in Nigeria?
You see, every Nigeria at this very moment sees Boko Haram as a terrorist group. And hardly would you have any Nigerian coming up publicly to say is in support of what Boko Haram is doing.
Okay.
So everyone is in condemnation of Boko Haram and their activities. But as regards the issue of extension of the state of emergency, I am of the opinion that the people from the region, their views goes a long way in taking decisions. That means very important. They should be carried along. They can give you the field reports,
okay,
which their representative is trying to advocate that our people's view
Let me just
is
hold
that...
it there for a minute. We have another caller. Good morning, Isa. How are you today? Isa, are you there? The moment your call is acknowledged, we'll implore you to just go ahead and make your contribution. And when you reach us here...
extension of this state of Hello?
Yeah, go ahead now, Isa.
Hello?
Go ahead now, we can hear you clearly.
The extension of this state of emergency is meaningless because in this state of emergency, all these area has been captured by, that is Islamic Caliphate by Boko Haram. So the only thing, since Mr. President has right to deploy soldiers to any area within this nation, so there is no need of extending the state of emergency. I don't see any reason, except maybe they want to do it in order to stop election in those areas affected. My contributions.
That's all right. Thank you very much for your contribution, Isa. He's calling from Kano, right?
Abuja.
From Abuja. Thank you very much for your contribution. Well, that's another possibility that many are talking about. Exactly what that northern senator said, that the federal government has the right to deploy troops to wherever it wishes in any part of the country, and the fight against terrorism should not hinder the economic and the welfare,
the social well-being
of the people.
Exactly. Which is why I still insist that their views, their feelings should not be jettisoned. Government needs to carry them along.
Okay.
And their representatives saying, look, our people back home do not want extension of this. That they have studied. They are in the process of trying to restrain their movement from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. That is when the Boko Haram enjoy their own free movement and being able to. And it hinders their own ability to regroup and resist any form of attack.
That's all right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today on Core Digest. I've been speaking with public affairs analyst at DME, Arumolaru. Thank you very much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll focus on stories that you find almost on every newspaper. And it's the Speaker of the Ekiti State House of Assembly crying out loud that Fayose has sealed my office. Prior to this time, he talked about his salaries, his remuneration not coming on time. He talked about his fuel station closed down, allegedly closed down by the state governor. And we'll also be joined by the special assistant to Governor Ayodele Fayose to get his own perception, his own side rather, of the story. Stick around and go away.